Okay, good evening, everybody. It's lovely to be here this evening. My name is Lorcan Seary, and I'm the apprentice manager for Irwin Mitchell. We'll start in a moment. We'll just give another few people about another minute, and then we'll proceed with our presentation for this evening. We very much look forward to taking you through a slide deck and answering your questions. So if anybody does have any questions, you'll hopefully see the Q&A button at the top of your screen. Submit any questions that you have, and we'll do our very best to answer as many of them as we possibly can throughout the session. We had some pre-submitted ones, and we think we're going to be able to cover off most of them. But obviously, if you've got any other questions, please just post them on the Q&A chat, and we'll do our best to respond. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I think then without further ado, we will proceed. So again, a big warm welcome to our session for this evening. This webinar is very much aimed at people who are due to leave school, so students, parents, also teachers, and any influence we might have out there. And the premise is very much about trying to just educate and provide information, useful information about apprenticeships in general, and also how apprenticeships at Irwin Mitchell work. So I've been here coming up to 4 years now, and I have a very privileged role where I'm in the position to recruit new people to our business to undertake apprenticeships. So look forward to taking you through this presentation. If you can go to the next slide first, Amy. So in terms of what we're going to cover off today, we'll cover off a little bit about Irwin Mitchell. Who are we? Also a little bit about apprenticeships, cover off what they're all about, what they are and what they're not. Go through as well what apprenticeship opportunities we have. So we are going to be sort of going through each of our vacancies. There's around 23 apprentice roles that we're currently advertising. They went live on the 27th of January and they'll be closing on the 17th of February. We'll be covering off what the pathways are into law. You'll also be hearing from a number of our current apprentices. So we've got someone who's done the business administration apprentice, of which we've got 2 of those roles currently being advertised. We've then also got somebody doing the solicitor apprentice. We've got 9 of those. We've got a paralegal on, we've got 10 of those, and then we've also then got somebody going through the finance. We've got 1 of those as well. So hopefully sort of almost full coverage of the opportunities we've got available. We'll also run through then what support is available for all those people who are going to be starting with us this coming September, and then run through any sort of questions we've got at the end. So hopefully we'll have about 10 minutes or so for questions. So again, just as a reminder, for anyone who joined a little bit later, please pose any questions you have using the Q&A button at the top of your screen, and we'll do our very best to answer them. Okay, next slide, please, Amy. So my name's Lorcan. I'm the apprenticeship manager. I've been working here for almost 4 years now. My remit really is just to do everything about apprenticeships. I liaise very closely with our business partners, our stakeholders, business, just to really sort of dispel any myths about apprenticeships, because we offer apprenticeships both internally and also externally. And I'm really pleased to say that we've grown the apprenticeship proposition within Irwin Mitchell quite considerably over the last 4 years. But again, we'll cover off some of the numbers and the programs, etc., as we progress through the presentation this evening. I'm now just going to introduce you to 4 of the apprentices who are going to be taking part. So I'm going to hand over to you, Tristan. If you can just sort of say a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining. My name is Tristan and I'm a finance apprentice currently based in the Sheffield office.
That's great. Thanks, Tristan. And now we're going to go to Amalia. Hi, Amalia.
Hi everybody, my name's Amalia and I've just finished the business admin apprenticeship.
That's great. And where are you based, Amalia?
I'm based in Birmingham.
That's great. Thanks, Amalia. Okay, we're going to go to Ella now. Hi, Ella.
Hi everyone, I'm Ella. I'm the solicitor apprentice in the asbestos related disease team in Cambridge.
That's great. Thanks very much, Ella. And last but by no means least, we've got Bethan. Hiya, Bethan.
Hiya, I'm Bethan. I'm a paralegal apprentice in the Court of Protection in our Cambridge office.
That's great. Thanks ever so much, everybody. So next slide, please, Amy. So just a little bit about who we are. Okay, so we are legal and financial experts. We're one of the largest full service law firms in the UK, and we've supported over 1 million clients and counting. And what's obviously what we like is that we cater to both personal and business needs. And we very much put clients at the heart of what we do. So we actually offer 180 plus different services. There's 112 years of heritage and growth. Our average partner tenure is currently 12 years, and the assets that we currently have within our organisation are amounting to £1.2 billion. The revenue last year was 300 million, and we certainly are looking to beat that this year. We've currently got around 256 partners, just under 2,000 fee earners, and around 3,000 colleagues. So we've got a number of colleagues, obviously, who are in the legal side, and they're the ones who liaise with our clients. But equally, we've got a fair few people who work for us who aren't fee earners. They very much work to support, those fee earners within the business, and they undertake different roles as well in the law firm. Next slide, Amy. So in terms of who we are, you can see there, look, the umbrella organisation, Irwin Mitchell, who we work for. You can see there the law firm. We've got Irwin Mitchell Scotland. We've also then got somebody, WJM, who are part of us now, and we acquired the Silk Family Law Group as well. In the middle there, you've got then IM Asset Management. Asset Management, basically, these are the teams who provide tailored financial planning and investment advice. And they've also got a couple of companies there, TWP and Andrews Gwynn. And finally, we've got our Ascent arm. Ascent, basically, they're our debt recovery arm as well. So you can see there, it's grown quite considerably, certainly since Irwin Mitchell started over 100 years ago. Next slide, Amy, please. So in terms of our credentials, we, as I alluded to earlier, we very much pride ourselves on putting the client at the heart of everything we do. So we really sort of take pride in some of these awards and recognitions. You can see there, look, the Legal 500, top tier. We're ranked in the top 25 in the Legal 500, with at least 27 teams receiving top tier rankings and another 115 recommended. You've probably all seen the Trustpilot sort of survey scores, etc., rated as excellent, with just short of 10,000 reviews. And again, we're rated as a top tier firm in Chambers and Partners. We've got 52 ranked departments with 23 teams ranked number one and 144 individually ranked lawyers. So again, we pay a lot of homage to that because it's very important that we deliver the very best service for our clients. Next slide, please, Amy. So here's just a summary of our offices. You can see there, all the orange there, Irwin Mitchell's offices. There's around 19 sites there, and then through various acquisitions and mergers, you can see the other ones around the country as well. I'm really proud of the fact that, working for Irwin Mitchell, we're not just one company based in London. Very much part of my mantra when I'm doing any of our advertising and marketing material is very much wanting to recruit as many people to our local offices. And these are the local offices in which we serve, because we feel that we very much are looking to continue recruiting local people from the communities in which we operate. So, we're very fortunate. About sort of 10, 12 of our offices are ones where we're going to have vacancies now, being filled for apprentices this September. So, one of the big key differences about ourselves is that we have got that national coverage rather than just one office in London. Okay, next slide, please, Amy. And again, you can see there in terms of the accolades, we very much take employee well-being, the feedback from our employees very seriously. And you can see here, look, just a handful. Best places to work for the last 5 years, special recognition for development. You can see there for well-being, there's an awful lot of work done internally to make sure that, people are very much supported because we very much want the people to be at their best self coming into work. You can also see there the accolade for women, and finally the best workplace in consulting and professional services. So yeah, very proud of all those milestone achievements there. Next slide, please, Amy. So here's a little summary of our sort of organizational structure. We've got Lou Lumley, our Chief Client Officer, and then to the very sort of bottom to the left, we have our 5 different business areas. So you've got medical negligence, personal injury, court of protection and public law and human rights. We've got our private client groups. These are the people who deal with family tax, wills, trusts and estates, etc. And we've then also got our business services arm as well. So these are the areas where you'll see people liaising with our corporate sort of teams, the banking and finance teams, our commercial teams, employment, etc., etc. And then to the right of that, so starting with Neil Whiteley, Hannah Darby, Pauline Morning, and Ruth Lewis, these are the teams that very much sort of provide an awful lot of fundamental support to those sort of fee earning teams to make sure then we run, you know, a smooth, polished, efficient, and effective organisation. Next slide, please, Amy. So what is an apprenticeship? So again, I acknowledge that there might be some of you who are quite well versed in terms of what an apprenticeship is. But in layman's terms, apprenticeships are very much about having a practical in work and learning experience. It normally comes with a professional qualification with a very formal, structured learning pathway. What a lot of people like, which is obviously different from university, is that you earn whilst you learn. So again, we recruit a high number of people leaving school. We recruit as well some career changes as well. But whilst you're, undertaking your apprenticeship, undertaking the qualification, it's an opportunity to earn a salary, which a lot of people like, obviously. It also means that any learner gets support from an external training partner. So every apprentice is aligned to a training provider who we work very closely with. We have a very great partnerships with those training providers. And essentially that training provider's remit is to enhance the apprentice's skills, their knowledge, and the apprentice's behaviour as well. And that's done via a variety of different ways, through witness statements, through interviews, through live teams, sort of chats, webinars, etc. And ultimately, it's about sort of making sure that you are deemed being assessed and you're deemed to be competent in a whole variety of those knowledge, skills, and behaviour elements to the apprenticeship. What's good about the apprenticeship? A lot of people like the fact that as a sort of full-time working member of staff, you get a day out, a day off to do your learning. So if someone's working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, then they'll essentially be given one day off to work on their apprenticeship. I personally believe it's a great alternative to university. And then finally, that you'll be assessed at the end where you'll have that sort of competency assessed and you're given the green light, hopefully, all being well, that you've now passed your apprenticeship and we can look at other opportunities for you further on down the line. Next slide, please, Amy. So in terms of common misconceptions, so apprenticeships probably a few years ago, there was probably a perception out there that it was only for people who were sort of in trade sort of based roles, so electricians, plumbers. I had two brothers who worked for Jaguar Land Rover in the 70s, 80s. They did apprenticeships in welding, etc. I've got a twin brother who's a bricklayer. But thankfully, they've come on leaps and bounds. And you can see there, you know, in reality, there's a lot more opportunities now in firms like ours where you can, you know, start an apprenticeship and that can help forge your way up to a very senior role within our organisation. Currently, there are just under 900 apprenticeship standards. Okay, we use them as well, like I alluded to earlier, to upskill our colleagues. Some programs are linked to a university, but again, some are linked to lower levels as well. But it means that ultimately, a lot of people are getting a qualification as well as practical-based experience whilst undertaking the apprenticeship. Next slide, please, Amy. So the different levels, you can see here, look, we've got intermediate level 2 through to advanced, higher and degree level. And you can see there, look, the equivalent educational levels. So we start as a minimum currently advanced level stage 3, which you can see is equivalent to 2A levels. We also are bringing people in on the higher and also the degree options as well. Okay. Now, that's fine, Amy. So we've started just over 200 apprentices at Irwin Mitchell since we actually started the apprenticeship program. I'm really pleased to say that during the last sort of 4 years, the number of our programs has increased from 3 to 26. And, you know, I'm really proud of the fact that our current completion rate at Irwin Mitchell for our apprentices is just under 85%. So that's 30% higher than the current national average. So again, I wanted that input on the slide there because, again, it's very, very important to anyone who's thinking about applying for an apprenticeship that you want that security, you want that stability of being in a good firm where you're going to get some great support to make sure you finish and complete. Okay, next slide, please, Amy. Okay, so in 2021, there were some quite significant changes to the legal profession. Traditionally, as it says on the slide there, people had to either study for a qualifying law degree before moving on to the LPC, the legal practice course, after which they'd normally sort of apply for one of our training roles and then complete that 2-year training contract and then be a fully fledged solicitor. Or what they could do is take any degree subject and then take the graduate diploma in law, complete the LPC, then followed by a training contract. So that's always been the traditional pathway into law. However, just around 3.5 years ago, it all changed quite significantly. So all you need now is you need to hold a degree or equivalent qualification. You then need to pass stages 1 and 2 of the solicitor's qualifying exams and then also complete 2 years worth of qualifying experience. So it's really opened the doors in terms of the variety of different ways people can now become qualified as a solicitor. Okay, next slide, please, Amy. So what are the different routes into law? So as I alluded to earlier, people would generally come in as a trainee with their law degree. Some of the people might come in as a paralegal, so they've got their foot in the door. They would then apply for a training contract, start their LPC, and then pass the professional skills course, which is the 2-year training contract, and they'd become a fully fledged solicitor. Okay, we've then also got in the middle there, we've got different ways. So we have people coming in as a paralegal, undertaking the chartered legal executive route. People then will also be taking a paralegal apprenticeship. They can then gain full chartered legal status by undertaking the level 6 chartered legal executive diploma. And again, they can look to cross qualify later on as a solicitor. And you can see there, look to the very right, where we are also taking the solicitor apprentices, which will be our 4th year of intake now, which is where we will pay for those solicitor apprentices to undertake their law degree, also undertake the 2 qualifying exams for solicitors, so the SQE1 and the SQE2. And with that, we'll also be providing them with the relevant 2 years qualifying work experience. Okay. We are also taking, if people are looking to go to uni or they are currently at uni, where you'll complete university and have a degree. 2024 was the very first year where we took people on with a degree. If you are successful, we've currently stopped the trainee recruitment, but essentially if you wanted to come in next year, we'd essentially bring you in and you'd undertake either the 27 months through the SQE pathway via an apprenticeship, or if you've done your LPC already, then you'll still come on the training contract route as well. Okay, next slide, please, Amy. So these are the opportunities we have for this year. So as I said earlier, we've got 23 different roles in a variety of different offices, and I'll be covering that off a little bit later. But quite importantly, the first role I'd like to run through is the Business Administration Apprentice, and my colleague Amali will be covering that off a little bit later. But this is essentially quite important that you can join us at the age of 16. So after getting your GCSE grades, you can join us to become a Business Admin Apprentice, which is a level 3 apprentice, and that lasts for 12 to 18 months. But you can start that at the age of 16, okay? For all the others, we are looking for people with A-levels, and that's the finance role, the tax role, paralegal role, and the solicitor apprenticeship. And you can see there, look, the various requirements. So for the business admin role, we're looking for 5 GCSEs only, from level 4 to 9, and 2 of those must be within maths and English. For the A-level roles, it could be any A-levels at grade C or above. We don't look for 3 A's, double A, B, or anything like that. It's 3 C's as a minimum. But you also need to have your 5 GCSEs at grade 4 and above, and 2 of those must definitely be within English and maths as well. Now you can see there, look, the durations, they're all from 12 to 24 months. We employ people on a 2-year fixed term contract, okay? But we very much look to retain everybody at the end of your apprenticeship. So right now, up to now, since I've been here, we've retained around 98% of our apprentices. Okay, and that's because people, when they've maybe finished, some of them want to think, do you know what, maybe I might now try university. But essentially, it's very much our intention to keep as many of our apprentices at the end of this and convert you to a permanent contract as soon as possible. You can see there, look, the one difference is the solicitor apprenticeship, and because that incorporates the 4-year law degree, that's essentially where you come in on a permanent contract, and that currently takes around 6 to 6.5 years. The starting salaries at the moment are 21,840 for people around the country, and then just under 24,000 for people in London, approximately 420 to 460 pound a week. That's due to go up, we anticipate, once we have the minimum salaries introduced, which is normally an annual thing. So watch this space, because you'll probably see that those are increased when you all start. If we've got anyone who's, wanted to apply and they're successful, you'll have an increased salary, I imagine. Okay, next slide, please, Amy. So in terms of the roles that we have, the first role is the business admin apprenticeship. This is the one where you can join either Manchester or Newcastle at the age of 16. If you are older than that, it's not a problem. We have people join us doing this role with A levels as well. So it's an exciting opportunity. You'll be joining the busy personal assistant team, acting as one of the key communication routes with clients and other areas of the business. Now, again, you'll be supporting a myriad of different people throughout the country. So you could be supporting case handlers in one of our other offices, but essentially you'll be providing support wherever possible across the team and clients by dealing with queries and inquiries and ensuring partners and fee earners. So what I mean by fee earners, these are people who work very closely with our clients, and their remit is to bill so many hours, supporting our clients so we can make sure we're an effective business, but equally providing excellent service to the clients. Okay, next slide, please, Amy. So here's our finance and tax roles. So you can see there, look, we've got our first level 3 finance. That's something that Tristan's going to talk about a little bit later. So this role is based in Sheffield, and as part of the finance team, the successful apprentice will gain unique exposure to a fast-paced central support function. So again, you get a very good grounding within the sort of finance arena. You'll have a rotation through various finance teams, looking at training, supporting the service to the business, data entry, reporting, sales ledger processing. So for anyone who wants to basically start, forging a career within the financial arena, this is a fantastic opportunity to, set your stall out and forge a very prosperous career within the finance arena. We've then also got quite a unique tax role. This is based in Chichester. And again, this is about providing accounting and tax return support to senior fee earners. It's about a mix of compliance and advisory services to support the senior fee earners and their clients. You'll be drafting tax returns. You'll eventually be managing your own caseload and work again to some you'll be supporting the sort of the fee earners as well. So again, we've had someone who started that around 3 years ago. They finished that and they're now on their way to the chartered tax status as well. So again, they're doing a master's apprenticeship at the moment, undertaking that program. So next slide, please, Amy. So here's our legal opportunities, and apologies if it's a bit of a small slide, but you can see here, look, we've got 10 paralegal apprenticeship vacancies, and I'll run through where they are in a moment. Essentially for these roles, you'll be supporting solicitors in preparing cases, often for court, creating and organising case files. You'll be supporting solicitors, a lot of client interaction. It's a targeted environment. You'll be conducting legal research. And then we've also then got our 9 solicitor apprentice roles. So again, it's a 6 to 6.5 year program. We'll be paying you to undertake your law degree, and as well as the solicitors qualifying exams 1 and 2. You'll be supporting other solicitors, partners. There's a lot of client interaction, as you'd expect. You may also get your own caseload eventually. Again, it's a targeted environment. And again, you'll be conducting legal research. So in terms of the roles that we've got, the paralegal roles we are in our court of protection teams. We have those roles in Bristol, Cambridge and Leeds. One of our biggest teams around personal injury. We've got opportunities in Sheffield and Birmingham. We've then also got our employment team in Birmingham. We've got 2 niche roles in costs. So for anyone who has got that numerical mind, again, there's going to be 2 roles in Sheffield. And finally, the wills and probates team in Sheffield. So that covers off our paralegal opportunities. And with our solicitor apprentices, like I said, we've got 9 roles there. We've got a variety of different roles within our Birmingham, Liverpool, London, Sheffield and Southampton sites. We've also got a medical negligence opportunity both in the Sheffield and Southampton office. Again, we've got court protection opportunity in Birmingham. And finally, the occupational disease sort of area as well within Sheffield. So again, I don't know if just leave that slide on there just for a moment, Amy, if anyone wants to take a screenshot of that so they can take that away. And if you are interested, you can just Google Irwin Mitchell Apprenticeships and you can apply for any of those roles there. So just leave it up for 10 seconds, Amy. Okay, right, next slide, please then, Amy. So this is a busy slide, but there's rationale and relevance as to why it's on there. But if anyone is either in year 11, year 12, who's thinking about apprenticeships, now this is a list of apprenticeships that relevant for us alone as a law firm. So when I started, I just put this list together because, again, there are quite a few people who are still leaving school thinking, do you know what, they're a law firm, they're not going to have any other opportunities. So what I'd say is, if you are looking to stay within the geographical location where you're currently living, if you are eyeing up firms, big firms within your location, it may well be, for instance, if they're an accountants or they're marketeers or they're an engineering firm, they won't just be offering engineering opportunities. There's a very big chance that they'll be offering some of these leadership programs that you see here. So they may well be offering roles within the IT function, within project management or finance, or team leading roles or audit. So what I'd say is, please keep an open mind that if you have got large employers or even small employers within your regions where you're looking to apply, please just bear in mind that there might be a multitude of different opportunities available. Okay, next slide, please, Amy. Okay, so some common myths around apprenticeships that I hear quite frequently when I'm out with schools, speaking to teachers, speaking to parents. Some people think you'll get a low salary. As I alluded to earlier, we pay a minimum salary for all new apprentice starters of £21,840. Okay, and that rises to just under 24,000 for those people based in central London. Some people think that you're not going to get anywhere if you haven't got any work experience. For anybody who starts with us, you do not need any experience at all within the world of law. Okay. You need work experience. Again, you don't need any work experience. You don't need to have any contacts, any connections. Essentially, what we're looking for are people whose values align very closely to ours. So very much people who are very passionate about delivering a really good service to our clients, passionate about wanting to do the right thing for our clients as well. Some people think you need A's and A stars to be offered an opportunity. But again, as I alluded to earlier on, we're looking for minimum criteria. So it's very much more about the type of person you are. And the ideal for us is that your values, what you're looking for, there's a really good alignment in between what we're looking for and what you're looking for, because that's when hopefully the harmony is made and we can both work very closely together, create really good partnerships. And again, we learn from you and we benefit from you, and equally you benefit from Irwin Mitchell, and you can go on to forge a very successful career with ourselves. So just a few common myths there. Next slide, please, Amy. Okay, so that's enough of me talking. I'm going to now hand you over to Amalia. So, yeah, Amalia, over to you.
Hello again, everybody. So again, just a little bit about me. I started the Business Administration Level 3 apprenticeship in September 2023, and I just finished that in December of last year. So freshly qualified. And just a little bit about how the apprenticeship is actually structured. You have several modules, and within each module, you have a monthly group session where you review the online learning that you did the previous couple of weeks. And then you can also ask for guidance with the portfolio tasks. And then a couple of weeks later, after you've had a chance to review the portfolio tasks, you also get a one-to-one coaching session with your personal coach, where they can review your evidence and give you any advice or any feedback on your work. And I found this really useful to actually meeting all the standards, because I knew exactly what I was missing and had advice on how to get it from my coach. Then some of the topics that I studied within my apprenticeship were personal development, communication and interpersonal skills, time management, project planning and evaluation. And I think one of the more interesting ones was to do with the project planning, because as you'll see just below, part of the apprenticeship standard is to carry out your own process improvement project. So that was really good fun, and I got to run my own project, which was something very new to me. And then also part of the assessment process is you have an interview with your examiner where you just talk them through all of your evidence, your portfolio and your project as well. So it wasn't too bad, really. You don't really get a written assessment so much. You get a multiple choice test and just the interview as well. Then just to talk you through some of my daily tasks, I do a lot of diary management, a lot of file openings, onboarding new clients, dealing with new inquiries as well, which is really important to the business, and booking travel and accommodation, meeting preparation and minutes, filing and archiving, expenses and billing. But this is very much variable to the team that you're in. I worked across 2 different teams during my apprenticeship, so some of these tasks did change, but you do. It's always interesting, and there's a lot of variety within the job as well, which I really enjoyed. And as I said earlier as well, I'm based in Birmingham, and I did start off with the lifestyle and estate planning team, being in the office 4 days. But since I have moved over to the employment team, also in Birmingham, where I now only do 1 day in the office. So it's all subject to change, and also in line with our flexible working policy. Could I go on to the next slide, please? Thank you. So just to talk you through a day in the life, again, there's quite a lot of variety, so this is subject to change. No day is really the same. But some of the constants are in the morning, I like to read through my emails, anything that's come through from the previous evening maybe, or that I didn't get to the previous day, and just review my plan for the day, certain tasks that I've got set out. And then I also do a lot of inbox monitoring because I work from a shared mailbox. So I wait for anything to come through and pick up tasks as they come. Then within my apprenticeship, I did a lot of dealing with new inquiries, which consisted of calling any potential clients, talking about the advice that they wanted, booking their meeting with a solicitor if that was appropriate as well. Then after a very important 1 hour long lunch, I will maybe continue with the new inquiries. There tend to be quite a lot, especially if you work within a smaller team like I did. So that really had me practicing my communication skills and standards for my apprenticeship as well, which was really good for my evidence. And then I also confirmed new appointments for the next day, making sure that all arrangements are in place for any in-person meetings or Teams meetings as well for the following day. Then between 4 and 5, it tends to quiet down a little, so I can finish up any tasks that I've been working on and create my plan for the following day if maybe there's anything left over that I've not finished. And just to talk you through the route to my apprenticeship, as Lorcan said, there's various routes you can take. So I had very, very little work experience before I started my apprenticeship. I never had a job before, really. I'd just done my 2 weeks of work experience in an office in year 10. So it's not a lot, really. But then I also did my A-levels, which I studied art, maths and physics. And this is vastly different to what I'm doing now, business admin. So you don't need to worry if maybe it's not law related what you've done, because it really doesn't matter. And the reason I chose this apprenticeship is, even though I did get into university, so I had that option, I thought that the experience that I would gain by actually working the job as I was learning would be invaluable and give me a better chance as well of securing a permanent role after I'd completed my apprenticeship, which you don't get with uni necessarily. So as part of that, I just started in January my permanent role as a team PA within the employment law support team, and I've also dropped to part-time, so there's flexibility around that as well, whether you want to work full-time or part-time. I think that's me done. I think is it Bethan next? I'll hand you over to her.
Hi, so my name's Bethan and I'm a paralegal apprentice in the Court of Protection. I joined in September 2023 and I am now currently in my exam window, so I'm in my 20 days to put it all together. So I thought I'd talk you through my daily tasks, which honestly change every single day. So Court of Protection, we manage the property and financial affairs of people with brain injuries that have been told they can't manage it themselves. So I could be paying care invoices, arranging cleaners, dealing with their utilities. I go to team meetings and client meetings to make sure we're on top of the client's needs. I talk to either themselves or their families. There's a lot of going between different people, but it is genuinely something new every single day. So the best bits for me about being in the office in particular is getting to shadow my colleagues, because they have so much experience and knowledge to share that being able to shadow them and see what's going on is really good to learn, even down to just bits about how they answer the phone, for example, getting to know kind of the etiquette and everything. I found really helpful. we get 2 volunteering days a year as well, which I quite like. So we'll go out as a team, and recently we went to a art centre for disabled adults, and that was amazing. We did some pottery with them, we painted, we did an art class with them, and it was just a lot of fun. And then we also have team socials every quarter. So we went and played darts last time, so that was always fun. And then we also get to work flexibly. So say I have an appointment or something in the afternoon, I could work 7 till 3 rather than my normal 9 till 5. So my best bits of doing an apprenticeship is I'm learning on the job, and I've got so much experience of being able to apply what I've learned so well, and it just kind of helps it sink in for me. I'm getting a lot of independence. I'm being trusted to manage my own cases. I'm being trusted to assist on other people's cases, and I've got this real exposure to what it's like to work in a law firm. I wasn't sure what to expect working in a law firm when I started, because I'd never done anything like it. And everyone is so lovely and welcoming, and they're willing to explain anything and talk to you, and they're just really welcoming and inviting. And they all want you to succeed. No one's hoping you're going to fail, hoping to mess you up. They're all really encouraging you. And the added bonus I found for myself was I'm coming out of this with a qualification and no student debt. So when it comes to my apprenticeship, I get 1 study day a week to complete this, and my study day is a Wednesday, which gives me a chance to get on with my work from my inbox on the Monday and Tuesday and the Thursday and Friday, so I don't feel like it impacts my workload too much. I have an absolutely lovely coach who goes through all my work with me. She helps me to think of what I can use for evidence for my portfolio. She makes sure I understand everything. And then I also go to regular webinars with various different coaches and other apprentices, where we can discuss what we've learned and come together. And if we have any questions, someone else might know the answer, and if not, the coach is there to support us too. And then my final exam is a 3,000 word legal research report, which I've come up with the question for. And then I also have to do a presentation based around my report to an independent assessor, and I've got my professional discussion as well, which is kind of like an interview situation. And can I have the next slide, please, Amy? So I thought I'd give my top tips for applying, which is spell check and review your application before submitting. The worst thing is when you've submitted everything and you're really proud of it, and then you realise there's an error. So just make sure you spell checked everything and it says what you want to say. Also, be yourself, because people are employing you. They want to get to know the real you. They want to know if you're going to be a good fit for the team, if you're a good fit for the company, and they can't do that if you're not being yourself. Also, be clear about what appeals to you about the organisation, because they want to make sure you're a good fit. And if you've got this prior knowledge about it, it kind of gives you that extra edge, because they can tell you're really interested, especially if you've done your research and are prepared for the interview. Be interested in what's being said, be interested in what your interviewers are saying, and it's a two-way process. They're not just interviewing you, this is your chance to get to know them and get to know what you might be walking into. It's a two-way street, and you've really got to embrace that. So when it comes to transitioning into work, this was something I struggled with to start with. I had never worked in a law firm or anything before. I mean, I used to teach dance classes, so it was completely different. So no matter how prepared you are, it is always going to be an adjustment going from sixth form to a full-time job. But you've just got to remember to ask questions, keep trying, keep putting in the effort. Staying on top of your study is a big help that I found, and I found that having a schedule, kind of going, this is what I've got to do today, this is how I'm going to prepare, does help. If you've got any workshops or training sessions with either your coach or even training sessions within your team, make sure you attend them and make sure you are prepared. Take notes, engage as much as you can, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because people do want you to succeed and they're always going to be willing to help you and push you to be better. So don't be afraid to go to them, because they're never going to get annoyed or mad at you for asking. You'd rather ask and get it right than mess up and then having to try and fix it. It's easier to just ask in the first place. And just embrace the opportunities, because this is an absolutely brilliant opportunity. So embrace it, and it's amazing. So that's all from me. I think it's Tristan next. So yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining again. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a finance apprentice based in Sheffield. I started in September 24 doing physics, maths and computer science, so that shows that finance is a completely different sector if you want to change like I did. You don't have to apply for apprenticeships that your A levels have given you. At the end I came out with BCC in August, but at the end of year 12 I did achieve UEE and my year 12 marks, which just show that no matter how late it is, it's never too late with enough hard work to start revising and get the grades that you want. I applied for university at the same time while applying for many accounting apprenticeships just to keep my options open. And you can leave the final decision because it is a great big decision what you want to do, uni or an apprenticeship. So I left that quite late on while keeping my options open. In an average day, I start at 9 o'clock on average. Sometimes that varies because we have a flexible working policy. But you start and check my personal inboxes and highlight the tasks that are prior to that need to be done for the day. I then, for about an hour and a half, complete those high priority tasks and deal with anything that was left over from yesterday. And then for another hour, I tend to check the shared team inbox and complete any tasks that are in there to deal with the workloads that are in the team. And then after a short break, I deal with any queries that have come in since the start of the day while doing the same thing I did, helping in the team's inbox, and then wrap everything up and make notes about what needs to be done for the next day. Next slide, please. I'm currently, as mentioned earlier, you have 4 rotations. There's 4 different teams. I'm currently on the first rotation, but on the team I'm on at the minute, I finalise draft bills that Fee Earners send to us to make sure the client's paying the right amount, that it's being sent to the right person. I deal with any queries, any miscommunications between this terminology. We see things differently, finance compared to Fee Earners. I tend to help out other team members as well when they're unsure something. So it's a team. We all help each other when needed just to get the work done on time and as high as the quality. I also manage money and VAT. I manage money in the client accounts to make sure that it doesn't not being put places it shouldn't be, because as a law firm there's high privacy and we can get breached, which is a really bad thing, and they can take away his license to operate. And then I also do high communication with the teams in finance and fee earners to ensure the client has the best possible experience. The reason I chose the apprenticeship route was the ability to learn while you earn, and you earn. I preferred a much more hands-on experience, and I wanted a high probability of having a job secured after my studies. As Lorca mentioned earlier, there's a high chance that you are kept on after the apprenticeship. I think that's it from me.
Thanks, Tristan. Over to Ella. Thanks, Ella.
Hi, I was just gonna, before I start, explain a little bit about what my role actually is, because I think it's a bit of a niche that lots of people won't have heard of. So I work in the asbestos and occupational disease team. So it's essentially people during the course of their employment that have been exposed to asbestos. So it might be someone who, say, worked as a mechanic changing brake pads and then has been exposed to asbestos, and maybe 50 years later, I've sadly been diagnosed with mesothelioma, which is an asbestos cancer. So we help to make claims against their employer to get them compensation for things like treatment and to secure their futures, because a lot of them do sadly pass away. So a bit about my background. I did my A-levels in 2023. I did maths, politics, sociology. I got 2 A's and a B, and then I went off to Uni of Leeds to do law. In my first year, I was deciding that it wasn't really for me. I was only at uni, I think it was about an average of 8 hours a week. So I looked into apprenticeships to see if I could do another route. Started my apprenticeship in September and I haven't looked back. I work 4 days a week and then I get 1 day to study with BPP. And in about 6 years, I will be a fully qualified solicitor. So a bit about my daily tasks. I think the main things I get doing are things like requesting and reviewing medical records, looking for things like precise diagnosis and the date of the diagnosis, because that's quite important in the practice area. Research into the defendant companies. So lots of the clients won't develop asbestos diseases for maybe 40, 50, 60 years after they're employed. So you're looking for companies back from the 60s and the 70s a lot of the time. So it's quite difficult to look into those. So I do a lot of that. Looking at medical experts, preparing bundles for court and then attending them court hearings when appropriate. Things like client communications, calls, emails. I know they're planning on getting me on a lot more visits this year. Looking at things like legislation to assist with the solicitors in the team, and then meeting things like your billable time targets, because if you get familiar with that from the first day, then you'll be a lot better prepared when you do eventually qualify. If I could have the next slide, please, Amy. I think the best bits for me are definitely the hands-on experience. Like I said, I wasn't doing much at uni. It was only 8 hours a week, contact hours. So I feel that the apprenticeship scheme gives me the chance to get working right from my first day. Job security, I think when I was at uni, I was very aware of the fact that training contracts are really competitive, whereas now I have that job security that I know I'm going to qualify and there will be a qualifying role for me. I think gradual development is definitely something that was really preferable for me, especially given that the plan is for me to remain in this practice area for a lot, if not all of my apprenticeship. I think it really gives you a basis. So when you qualify, you feel like you're going to be confident in completing a role, which maybe you wouldn't get as much if you were just doing the training contract with the seat rotations. I think you get really invaluable experience. You're working with people that have been doing this job for years and they're really leaders in the industry. You won't leave with university debt, which is always a positive as the fees are going up each year. And I think the thing I enjoy the most about my role is that you really feel like you're making a difference to the clients. I think the work that I do isn't, I've never been asked to make coffees or stand by a photocopier all day. So I feel like you really get that feeling that you're making an impact on the clients right from the first day. I think the challenges probably are managing the working while the studying. It's quite a lot to do a degree whilst also working 4 days a week. But I think if you're really open with your manager, and I have a weekly catch up with my manager to try and mitigate that, and I've found it okay since I've started. I think the commitment is quite daunting, but when you compare it to what it would be like if you went to university, you might do 3 or 4 years of your undergraduate and then you need to do your 2 years qualifying work experience. So it really isn't much longer, if the same amount of time. And I think traditional holiday periods is definitely something to get used to, but I think that the weeks fly by and you get the annual leave, so I don't feel like I'm not getting a rest, if that makes sense. I think that's everything from me. I'll hand back over to Lorcan.
Thanks very much, Ella. Okay, so hopefully that was really useful. You know, these are individual colleagues who are currently going through the apprenticeship experience, and hopefully, you know, you've appreciated the warts and all sort of backstories from each of them. The next slide really was just to talk about if there's parents or anyone who, you know, is thinking, should I do an apprenticeship or should I do university? When I've been out to schools and universities and worked with charity partners over the last 6 months, this is probably the $1 million question I get asked by parents, teachers, and individual students. You know, what should I do? And I think, you know, my normal response is it very much depends on your own circumstances. What I do encourage them to do is whenever we've spoken at a school or whatever, I do encourage everybody to go home and speak to their parents, carers, etc., just about apprenticeships. Now, apprenticeships aren't for everybody, and neither is university. What I would say is both pathways are valid for individuals. As you can see from my what I was alluding to earlier, there's just under 900 different apprenticeship programs, and that's likely to grow. Obviously, people can obtain employment with a well-established business if they are coming into the business as an apprentice. You can build some great relationships in the workplace. You can gain a great qualification, which is transferable. You can hopefully you can see that you get a good wage, good hours, and you can still socialize. So, you know, I very much keep in touch. We have communal calls with all our apprentices. and they tell me how much they still party and socialise with their friends who've gone to university. So whilst they're not at university, the traditional university experience isn't there. They're socialising with their pals who are there. So again, they have that experience as well. As a lot of the apprentices have alluded to, you can learn, you can earn, and you actually get work experience. You get your foot in the door. There are a variety of different pathways, and there's also nothing stopping you going to university in the future. So I think for me, it's just about making sure, and these are one of the reasons why I like to do these presentations, it's just making sure that every individual who's at those crossroads about whether or not it's university or going straight into the world of work via an apprenticeship, it's really important you do your research. Everyone's sort of backstory is different. Everyone's circumstances are very different. So again, part of this is just about making sure we can hopefully educate, help and inform you all to make the right decision moving forward. Next slide, please, Amy. So in terms of the support, that's me and the team, the early careers team. So I'm a dedicated apprenticeship manager. So I was recruited specifically to do this role. Not every company has a unique dedicated AM, an apprentice manager. Sometimes you might find somebody in HR who's doing apprenticeships, maybe 5-10% of their job. But for me, this is my remit. So hopefully all the individuals you've spoken to, they'll allude to the fact that I'm very much hands-on. I have an awful lot of pastoral conversations. We have a lot of interactions, etc., to make sure both they as the apprentices and also their managers are having a positive experience on program. So again, there'll be one-to-ones with me, with the team. I obviously pay an awful lot of homage to the training provider. I have very good relationships with the training provider who is then providing that coach to support each one of our learners. We also have a wider apprenticeship cohort. So the very fact that we've got 23 different roles, we'll be looking to bring the majority of those 22, 23 individuals in to one induction in September. So you'll all get to meet one another, and that helps then form some really nice relationships as you go back into your offices and start the world of work and undertake your apprenticeships. Everyone's invited to an apprenticeship induction where we have an overnight, again, where you get to meet all your new colleagues. Next slide, please, Amy. So why choose an IM apprenticeship? You're probably aware there's many different companies out there who are offering apprenticeships. So when I put this slide together, I think it's really important for me to say, that apprenticeships are really pivotal to our success within Irwin Mitchell. And we take great pride in the fact that Job Crowd, which is a third-party organisation, and also Rate My Apprenticeship, if you want to Google those, they rated us as top law firm for apprenticeships, Job Crowd in 2024. And we were the highest ranking law firm in the Rate My Apprenticeship employer rankings last year. We were the only law firm in the top 50. And what I take great pride of from that ranking is that those rankings are solely obtained from the anonymous feedback from our apprentices. So they're asked a series of different questions about their experience. Would you recommend Irwin Mitchell? Would you recommend your training provider? What support do you get? So the very fact that we were 93rd out of top 100 4 years ago, and we've moved to 14th this year. So it's very much my ambition to get into the top 10 in 2025. As I alluded to earlier, we've started 200 new apprentices within our business. So we're very much tried and tested. And I'd like to think that, we have a very robust model in terms of recruiting some great talented individuals and supporting them right through to full completion. I believe we've got excellent training and development opportunities. There's a good pedigree of delivering apprenticeships where, we retain 98, 99% of our apprentices post-qualification. As I alluded to the fact earlier, I'm a dedicated AM, there to support you and the apprentice line manager. You join an annual cohort, some great networking opportunities. And again, we very much look to support future pathways available post this initial apprenticeship that we're going to be recruiting for. Next slide, Amy, please. So just in terms of our timelines, for those of you that maybe joined a little bit later, we are currently live with all our apprenticeship vacancies. So if you just Google apprenticeship opportunities at Irwin Mitchell, you'll see we opened on the 27th of January and we actually close at midnight on the 17th of February. So again, if you are looking to apply and hopefully this presentation you found useful, then please do so by midnight of the 17th of February, because then it will be locked, okay? And unfortunately, we won't be able to accept any more applications. From then March to May, we'll be conducting our assessment centres. So people who've applied, basically, we'll be making sure we invite all those people. Normally, we like to give you 2-3 weeks notice as a very minimum, and then we'll set out the stall in terms of what that assessment centre looks like. But have a look on our web pages, because again, we cover off some information and some tips and advice there about assessment centres, what they look like, how to prepare, etc. And then in April, May, we are very much looking to extend all those offers. So we will certainly be looking to extend offers to 23 people, but we also like to have reserve pools as well. So anyone who's passed the assessment centre, but we don't have enough roles for, we normally look to keep you on a reserve list. And we very much look to every year since I've joined, we've ended up going back to that reserve pool, because we've often found that there's new opportunities available, whether or not we've had people who've got promoted and it's opened up an opportunity. We'll very much look to go to that reserve pool before we open the vacancy, because again, we will open this reserve pool for those people who've passed the assessment centre. So again, it just means that if you're still looking and we're looking, then we can have a conversation. And then in September, normally the first, second week in September, we'll bring all the new 23 apprentices together, where you'll be invited to an induction at one of our local offices and you'll begin your apprenticeship. Next slide, please, Amy. I think that might be it then to other questions. All right. So again, I'll leave this slide up just for about 20 seconds. These are some useful resources to peruse for apprenticeship information. So if you want to take a screenshot or a picture on your phone, there's some really useful websites here where you can, again, learn more information about apprenticeships, what they're all about. And again, good for parents, good for teachers, and also good for career changes, but also for students as well, leaving school at the age of 16 or indeed 18. Next slide, please, Amy. Okay, and that's a picture of our last intake. So again, great to have those individuals. So we've got about 3 minutes left. So again, if you want to put any questions through, we'll do our very best for the final 3 minutes. So through the Q&A button at the top. Thanks for responding to those, Amy. Sorry, we're trying to go through these as much as we can. So one of the questions is, do you have to stay on after completing the apprenticeship for a certain amount of time? No, absolutely not. I mean, ultimately, you know, you're going to be employed on a minimum of a 2-year contract. We very much hope that you will stay for the 2 years, but equally, if people want to go after that, then that's absolutely fine. We'd be disappointed, obviously, but we can't stop you. And ultimately, if it means that it's opened up another pathway or an opportunity for you, then ultimately we just want happy individuals. But so yeah, you are quite within your rights to leave once you finish your apprenticeship. In terms of the assessment, it very much depends on the type of role. So what I can assure people of is that any assessment that people are coming for, it's very much valid in terms of what you're tested on, so we can make sure we pick the right people, you know, who are going to be the right people for us working here at Irwin Mitchell. Just looking at some of these other questions. How much does the length of a CV impact the outcome of my application? I mean, generally, you've probably, if you haven't done your research, normally we say 2 pages worth of CV is normally sufficient. I wouldn't probably do any more than that. And a CV just gives us that record, but we very much, the way that we do our screening and our assessments, we very much want to learn about you as an individual. So you will be asked a lot of questions about you, what you're looking for, why Irwin Mitchell. So again, probably alluding to what some of the apprentices have said, please make sure you do your research. You've got an awful lot of law firms out there. Some are quite different. Some deal with different specialisms. Like we alluded to, we're a full service law firm. That's what a lot of people like. So again, please make sure you do your research. There's nothing better than a manager likes than somebody to be able to talk about what they've enjoyed about Irwin Mitchell and what's triggered their interest within the firm. So have a really good think about that. What other new posts are there? Okay, we're probably going to be closing the call now. Thank you so much to everyone who's attended tonight. I appreciate it's late. We hope you found it useful. We hope you found it informative. But for anyone who's thinking of applying, we'd very much love to receive your application, and the very best of luck for all of you. So yeah, have a lovely evening, and thanks everybody for taking part this evening. So Tristan, Amalia, Ella and Bethan and Amy, thanks ever so much for your support. Take care, everybody.